Before we get started looking at how to cut and also sew and trim with the HuRTy one, let's talk a little bit about terminology. So in referring to half rectangle triangles, or HRTs, you'll hear me use those two terms interchangeably here as well as in patterns. You'll hear people talk about left leaning and right leaning, or left facing and right facing. And I tried to pick terms that I use with the HuRTy one as well as in the patterns that I could be consistent throughout. And the problem with left leaning and right leaning is this is the same half rectangle triangle. And the slope is going in that direction. If you rotate it, then the slope changes, and that's just the nature of the HRT. So instead of using left and right and trying to confuse people with that, which is what I think happens a lot of times, I've chose to select one that is an A HRT and one that's a B. So these would be the two sort of mirror image shapes. Now the thing about half rectangle triangles is, for the most part, they have to be cut differently. So we cut the A's out differently than we cut the B's out. And we'll talk a little bit later about solid fabrics and placing things right sides to wrong sides together in cutting. But for right now, we're going to cut and make them one at a time. And we are going to cut those differently. So you definitely want to know whether you're working with an A, which is for the vertical half rectangle triangle, upper left to lower right. Horizontal is upper right to lower left. And this is B, which is upper right to lower left for vertical, and horizontal, it's upper left to lower right. So it can be confusing, right? So as a very quick reference, on the front of the HuRTy, we have a couple of different illustrations. In one, you'll see side A and side B. The HuRTy is a double-sided ruler, so we're going to use both sides of it. So as a reference point for side A, if you can read side A, then you see the illustration, that's an A half rectangle triangle. And if we flip it and you can read side B, and then you see the angles, and you can match it up just by picking your HuRTy up. So that's kind of convenient right there. The other quick point for terminology is, what do you call the pieces? So this right here, we refer to that pre-cut shape or pre-cut triangle. Now, I call it a triangle because once it's pieced in, it will look like a triangle, a right triangle. But it's not quite a triangle because the tip is cut off here, and if we trim it before piecing, we're going to chop that little corner off there. But this is the HRT piece, and an HRT unit is when two pieces are sewn together and trimmed. And so that's a unit, and that's a HRT piece. So that's the terminology that we'll use consistently throughout, talking about the HuRTy as well as the HuRTy patterns as well. Okay, so let's dive right into cutting and making some HRTs.